like, everything is good. It is a very civil divorce with our daughter in mind, and I really appreciate that. However, I'm going to be a mom, single income right now, and he will be helping with her. He will be supporting her, so essentially, like, I'm really thankful for that, and that I will not have to worry so much about supporting her. However, I will be on a very limited income, with buying a new house and, paying a mortgage and all that stuff. So, I've never done this before. I've never been on my own before. So, if you have any tips, saving money, making money, anything like that, like, I would really appreciate it. Like, coffee at home,
Jennifer and Brandon Sheffield were living what seemed to be an ordinary life in Mississippi. They had children, a home, and a seemingly stable life to outsiders. But cracks were forming in their marriage. Behind closed doors, a storm was building. Conversations turned cold, trust began to waver, and a decision was made: Jennifer and Brandon would divorce. It seemed like a step toward peace for both. Yet, this decision would lead them toward an unimaginable tragedy. But what truly caused their love to unravel? And how did this conflict escalate into a devastating crime that left their children without parents? What led to their tragic end? Jennifer and Brandon Sheffield seemed like any other couple. They met years ago, building a family, a life, and a reputation in their Mississippi town. Jennifer, warm and outgoing, and Brandon, quiet and reserved, appeared to balance each other. Their home was a place where their children could grow, play, and thrive. But things weren't always what they appeared. The cracks in their marriage grew slowly, differences in how they managed their lives, their careers, and most painfully, their communication. The small disagreements became more frequent, more intense. Jennifer had always been the more public-facing one, while Brandon, a private man, often kept his thoughts hidden. His deepening frustration with the marriage was something only a few close friends knew about. On the other hand, Jennifer's increasing independence led her to make the difficult decision to pursue a divorce. Over time, the tension between them became unmanageable, and the process to end their marriage began. The court filings, the back-and-forth exchanges, the attempt at mediation, all painted a picture of a couple trying to hold things together despite it all. They both spoke about their children with love, yet their home life was marked by an undercurrent of unresolved issues. Friends who had witnessed the shift in their relationship noted that both Jennifer and Brandon had changed. Brandon, who had once been calm and collected, seemed more distant and withdrawn. Jennifer, known for her strong will, appeared worn out and drained by the weight of the ongoing turmoil. Yet, no one foresaw the devastating outcome that would follow. But what was it that pushed them past the point of no return? What pushed their lives into a tragic ending that no one could have predicted? The truth would soon become painfully clear. As the divorce proceedings unfolded, tensions rose between Jennifer and Brandon. Their friends saw the shift in their behaviors. What was once a couple trying to work through their differences became a volatile situation. Jennifer, already stressed from the separation, found herself facing increased hostility from Brandon. Texts and calls between them, once cordial, were now cold and filled with underlying anger. In the months leading up to that fateful day, Brandon's behavior became erratic. He wasn't the man Jennifer had married. Rumors began to circulate about his emotional state. Was he struggling with something deeper? And, perhaps most disturbingly, did he feel cornered by the very process that was supposed to bring closure to their lives? Jennifer, on the other hand, appeared determined. She was ready to move on. She had begun making plans for her future, trying to rebuild herself after the emotional wreckage. Yet, no one could have predicted that the growing distance between them would soon lead to something far more tragic. Despite attempts to reconcile, it was clear that Jennifer's decision to end the marriage was final. And as Brandon learned of her determination, something shifted within him. What was it that pushed him to such an extreme point? Could he not face a life without her, or was there something darker at play? As Brandon's anger festered and Jennifer sought a new life, the final, horrifying chapter was about to begin. What would happen when the situation reached its breaking point? What lengths would one man go to when faced with the loss of everything? The answers were closer than anyone realized. On the day of the tragedy, Brandon and Jennifer's strained relationship reached its breaking point. It was a quiet morning in their Mississippi home, the last one they would ever share. Brandon, who had grown more agitated in recent days, arrived at the house for what was likely meant to be a routine visit. But that day, something in him snapped. Jennifer, who had been preparing to move forward with her life, did not anticipate the dark turn her day would take. Their children were in the house, unaware of the chaos that was about to unfold. Brandon, consumed by a mix of anger, despair, and a sense of loss, confronted Jennifer. What was said between them remains unclear, but the atmosphere was tense, and the exchange soon escalated beyond words. Suddenly, in the midst of the argument, Brandon did something no one could have imagined. He shot Jennifer. The brutality of the act, so sudden and final, left everyone in shock. The children, helpless and frightened, witnessed the horror. Then, in a cold moment of finality, Brandon turned the gun on himself. By the time authorities arrived, both Jennifer and Brandon were dead, leaving behind a family torn apart in the wake of incomprehensible violence. But what led Brandon to this final, irreversible act? Was this a moment of pure rage, or had something been festering deep within him for much longer? The answer to that question lies buried in the heart of this tragedy. The community was left in utter disbelief. Jennifer and Brandon's tragic deaths shocked everyone who knew them, but the greatest toll was on their children. Grief-stricken and traumatized, they faced an uncertain future without their parents. Friends and family tried to rally around them, offering support, but the emotional weight of such a loss left an indelible mark. The local community, once familiar with the Sheffields as a seemingly ordinary couple, now grappled with the horror of the crime. Neighbors were in shock, unable to reconcile the quiet, private man they knew as Brandon with the violence that had unfolded. As the days passed, questions lingered. How had the divorce, something so common, escalated to such an irreversible and tragic conclusion? Was there a deeper, unspoken issue that could have been addressed before it spiraled out of control? The tragedy sparked conversations about the mental health struggles people often hide behind closed doors. Brandon's emotional state had been deteriorating, yet no one fully understood the extent of his pain. Jennifer's decision to move on may have seemed like an attempt to protect herself and her children, but in the end, it was a decision that would cost them all dearly. A GoFundMe campaign was launched in an effort to help the children, who would now be left to carry the burden of this tragedy without the guidance and love of their parents. But no amount of money could ever replace the loss they endured. The emotional scars would remain for a lifetime. As the community processed the events, one question lingered: could this tragedy have been prevented? What signs were overlooked, and what lessons should be learned from this devastating chapter in their lives? In reflecting on the tragic deaths of Jennifer and Brandon Sheffield, one must ask, what led to this devastating conclusion? Was it simply the breakdown of a marriage, or were deeper, unspoken issues at play? Brandon's emotional and psychological state seemed to deteriorate in the months leading up to the incident. His withdrawal, anger, and ultimate decision to take both his wife's life and his own suggest a profound sense of loss and helplessness. Could the divorce process have been a catalyst, or had something more troubling been festering beneath the surface? This case raises important questions about the toll of emotional and mental strain on individuals. Mental health struggles, especially those hidden behind closed doors, often go unnoticed until it's too late. It's a tragic reminder that unresolved pain, even in seemingly routine situations like a divorce, can have deadly consequences. For those who knew Jennifer and Brandon, the questions remain: was there a moment when someone could have intervened? Could friends, family, or professionals have seen the warning signs and offered help before it was too late? As we reflect on this tragedy, the message is clear: awareness of mental health, communication, and emotional support is essential for preventing such devastating outcomes. This incident, while heartbreaking, serves as a reminder of the need for better resources and understanding when it comes to emotional distress and its impact on individuals and families. What could have been done to prevent this tragedy? And how can society ensure that no one is pushed to such extremes again? The questions remain unanswered, but the hope is that through reflection, future tragedies can be avoided. The deaths of Jennifer and Brandon Sheffield left a profound void, not only in the lives of their children but in the community that once knew them. This tragic story serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of unresolved emotional turmoil. It's crucial for us to reflect on the signs of mental distress and the importance of intervention before it's too late. If you've been affected by this story or know someone struggling, reach out. Mental health matters. If you found this video important, please like, share, and subscribe to stay informed on more true crime stories. Leave a comment below with your thoughts, and let's keep the conversation going. Thank you for watching.